All right, so we're on. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. On today's episode of Raw Talks, I'm joined by my personal friend and my very good friend Natasha Mwansa, who is currently studying in Russia. So, Natasha, can you please give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you're doing in Russia, what you're studying, if you're studying?
Okay, so my names are Natasha, CM Mwansa. I'm from Zambia and I am studying in Russia at People's Friendship University of Russia. I'm studying pharmacy in my first year. Yes.
Okay, so like what made you Russia? Like how did you transition from your high school? Which high school did you attend? Did you attend it abroad or here in Zambia? And how did you find yourself in Russia?
Okay, so I studied at two high schools.
Mm.
The first one from grade 8 to grade 9, I was at Luitikila Girls Secondary School, which is in Mpika, or Zambia. Then I moved to Ndola Girls National Technical School, and I started there from grade 10 to grade 12. I graduated from there. Then in grade 12, I think grade 11 or grade 12. I think it's grade 12. Grade 12, there was an opportunity to apply, okay, to write a test to go to Trident. That was the first scholarship, like to go to Trident. But I didn't make it because I wasn't ready. I didn't make it. Then the second scholarship I ever received was the US Aid scholarship, which was you. The problem with the US Aid scholarship was they only pay. I qualified for the 100% scholarship, yes, but they only pay for you to apply to different universities in the USA. Then that's why when the Russian scholarship came, my parents opted that we, choose the Russian scholarship instead of the USA scholarship. And I remember seeking advice from our counselors at Belita during whilst I was in the USAID program.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her, what do you think? There's this scholarship, the Russian scholarship that I have received, and the guarantee they've given me a guarantee that if I make it, I'm having 100% scholarship to study in Russia. My tuition fees will be set. So she said, okay, in USA, it's really hard to like study a medical course. You have to first study a base course like sciences, biology, and stuff before you go into studying medicine itself. So I would advise you to study medicine in Russia. Then after getting your bachelor's degree, come back and apply a for your master's or PhD, which will be simpler to do. So my I remember that period I was almost writing my SAT exams, and I was studying. I was almost ready to, write my SAT exams and go to the US. I was so excited. I'm going to the US. But, things happened and I went for the Russian scholarship. Now, with the Russian scholarship, my dad introduced me to it. He heard it from a friend who said, no, Natasha can apply for this and she can make it. She got good grades. She got good grades. 6 points, she deserves an abroad opportunity. That's what it was. So uh, he came, told me about it, and I was like, okay. I was a little bummed, like I wanted to cry because I wanted to go to the USA. Then the Russian scholarship, the problem was I couldn't apply for medicine because I studied sciences and not pure sciences. So going to going to the Russian scholarship would mean me forfeiting studying medicine. So my
Mm.
parents talked to me, they gave me advice to say, okay, Natasha, let's just go with the Russian scholarship, study something close to medicine. The only thing that was close to medicine that, I wanted to go for was pharmacy. So I applied for pharmacy, got the scholarship. Now, before coming here, like to Russia, I never knew we would be studying in Russian. So I applied during the period of COVID. So I started my studies from Zambia online. So studying the Russian language in Zambia online was really difficult. So it was really difficult and I couldn't like grasp the language. So that period of time I was like going through anxiety and depression because I'm like, how come I'm not getting this language thing? How come? So it was really a tough period, but I made it through. The borders opened. I came to Russia and continued studying. So it's like you first do a PADFAC course. That's what it's called, a preparatory faculty, where you study the language. Then, like you study it for a whole year. Then you write an exam, graduate, get your certificate, and graduate to your first year as a pharmacy student, a medical student, economical student. Yes.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful explanation. So you talked about like mental health, like how did you manage your mental health because mental health is very important in the transition of maybe applying to universities, even here in Zambia we will get to apply to UNZA quite all right. But there are times where you apply to the University of Zambia, for example, but they leave you out on maybe a student loan scheme. So like even when applying for scholarships, sometimes you get to apply to universities, but they leave you out on like they reject you, especially with American admissions. Like how did you transition with that? Like mentally, how did you manage to, manage your mental health?
Okay, so it was a long process. And the funny thing, studying online, when you're supposed to be studying physically, you weren't mentally prepared that you were going to study online. My thought was going to Russia and I'm going to be in class in Russia, study like whilst the lecture is teaching. But you find yourself in a predicament where you're studying online in a language you don't understand. Studying the language in the same language, not even the teacher explaining it in English. They're explaining it in Russian. So, it was like too much for me. And I was studying in my room on the bed. So sometimes, when I have a lot of anxiety, I'll just mute my mic, turn off my camera, and just sleep. Just sleep. That's how I used to escape. Sleeping was my escape. But, talking to people would help you and change of environment. I remember I, um, I didn't tell my parents what I was going through. So I just, made them, I was just like, Daddy, Mommy, you know, these brothers of mine disturb me in the house. Like I have little brothers. So I was like, they disturb me whilst I'm studying. So let's book a flat where I can go and study from there. So I think that change of environment also helped me very much when it came to um, continue to study and that relief. I met a friend who I could talk to. I remember cooking. She reminded me a few days ago. She was like, Natasha, when you came, I remember you weren't in a good space mentally. But I remember one day you just started cooking. Then we had a conversation, and then you looked bright, and that's how you continued cooking. So cooking helped me handle my mental health. Surprisingly, talking to her, cooking, and just writing down my feelings on paper. It really helped me through my mental health, anxiety, because my anxiety attacks were bad, especially when I traveled to Russia, being in a class. from online then to physical classes, I would have anxiety attacks in class, and my anxiety attacks would be shaking and crying. So it was, you can imagine the pressure. So writing
Talk
it
about
down
like
really
writing
helped.
down,
Writing
right?
down my
So writing your thoughts helped you, cooking helped you. So you mean like just something which would distract you or will help manage your mental health sometimes, right? Something which would make you like something you enjoy, but
distract you
yeah.
because mhm,
Mm-hmm. And
because the writing would help you spot what was wrong. Okay,
yeah,
what's causing these attacks?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Is it where you developed your interest in writing poetry? You write. I mean, like you're a reader, you're a writer, you're a poet. I know you do spoken word poetry on your channel. Uh, you're also like you do a lot of stuff. So can you talk about your social media, how you manage them, like what's the purpose of them, what do you plan for them in future, like that? Mm.
Okay, so I have a YouTube channel, I have a Facebook page, I have an Instagram page, and I did it on purpose. I made it the same name, Natasha CM Mwansa, on all social media platforms. Even Twitter, you'll find me, but Twitter, I'm not really active on Twitter. But Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, you'll find me as Natasha CM Mwansa. So for YouTube, I started with the Find Read Tell program. I started it like I think in 2020. Yeah, it was like an experiment, really. But I love reading books, and I named it Find Read Tell because number one, you find a book. Number two, you read it. And number three, you share what you've gotten from the book. So I remember reading a lot of books like Robert Kiyosaki's book, like Sarah Jacobs' book, um, you know, Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, Women Evolve, all those books. So I was like, I just can't, keep this information to myself. Why don't I just share what I've learned? So I shared, I think my first book was Sarah Roberts' Woman Evolve. So I shared what I learned and, walking through the book with my viewers. So I think the main aim was to show people that you don't only have to read books to just store information. You have to read books so that you become a better person and you learn from them to act or work on something differently. You come up with ideas that you can, you know, put into practice in your today life, in your everyday life. Okay, what did you learn from the richest man in Babylon? What did you learn from Rich Dad Poor Dad? Then bring those concepts and align them to your finances, your emotional aspect, your spiritual aspect as a human being, your physical aspect as a human being. So that was the main aim for the Find Retail program. Then you asked me about my poetry. How did I start writing poems? So it wasn't uh I think it wasn't the anxiety that led me to writing poetry. It was actually a dare. A friend of mine told me that, okay, Natasha, I just see you, doing poetry and stuff. So he dared me to write a poem under 30 minutes, which I did. Then I read it to him and he was like, you see, as you continue, you will become better. So I continued. And that's how those poems were born. I think I wrote about 11 poems. I found someone to help me with the recording of the poems. I remember my dad was so against me. You know, my parents have always been strict with me. They want me to focus on school, 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 school. So they're so against me doing extracurricular activities. They was like, just Natasha, focus. Natasha, focus. But
Okay.
you know, when something moves you, like when something moves you, you just have to, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Or else it would just be like within you and that's reminding you, you have to do this, you have to do it. So I was just saying, Mommy, Daddy, it's just poetry. Won't disturb me anyhow anyway. So I managed to record, put them on my channel, and that's how the poetry was born, I guess. And shared it. I remember I was so nervous. I shared it first on Audio. Yeah, I'm also on AudioMac. I shared it on AudioMac. Natasha CM Mwansa on AudioMac as well. That's where poetry is as well. I shared it first to AudioMac, then I created videos by myself, but like just a simple picture. Then the video was playing, but I think I'm improving, and those were just my first. So as I continue, I know I'll become better. Like the story of the tap, someone said, you know, being a creative person, when
Mm.
you start, when you start, she said, don't be afraid to be bad or to not be the best when you just start.
Or don't be afraid
The
to
problem
fail. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail when you just start. The problem with people is that when they just start, they want to be the best. They
Yeah.
want to be excellent, perfect. But, and that's where fear comes in. So just start where you are, accept the position you are in, and continue the journey. It's step by step, bit by bit, till you get where you're going.
And one thing again, don't forget, like, don't be scared to fail.
Exactly. Don't
Well,
be scared to fail.
we have literally turned into motivational speakers. Anyway,
Don't
how
be scared to fail. Don't be scared to produce a bad poem or a bad song. Just release it. That's your dirty water for now. You're removing dirty water. When the tap, you know, continues to flow, the clean water will come.
mm, how about like university life?
Mhm.
Like career-wise, or did you always want to study pharmacy? Did you always want to study medicine? Is it something you've always done or your parents forced you?
Okay. So for medicine, how it was it was a thing for, you see, you're doing good in school. And the only people you see after university, after they've done good, is doctor, engineer, and stuff like that. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to study medicine. I remember in high school, for the trident thing, we were taught to say, okay, after studying medicine, like, what do you want to do? What career path do you want to do? And just there in class, I was like, neurosurgeon or cardiologist. So I was like, any of the two, which one should I go to? I said, okay, cardiologist. And then wrote it down. It wasn't even like a passion within me. It wasn't really something I wanted to do deep within my soul that, you know, ignited the joy or a flame in me to continue doing. There was nothing like that. So even when my parents talked about transitioning from medicine to pharmacy, it
Mm.
didn't really affect me that much because I wasn't holding on to medicine like, oh, this is my baby. So the transition was quite simple. So I was like, okay, pharmacy, let's see how it goes. So deciding to go for pharmacy, it was never part of the plan. It was never. It just happened. It just happened. I found myself in Russia and I'm studying pharmacy in a language I don't understand yet.
So you fully don't understand Russian yet?
No, no, not fully. I can't say
Oh,
I'm even the best. No, I'm, I'm,
okay,
I'm like learning. I'm still learning the language. If it's
okay,
like, yeah, I'm still learning. Let's
okay.
just say that. If it's communicating with my roommates,
Mm.
you can laugh. It's sign language, it's interpretation.
Pass me the water.
Yeah,
You're pointing at the glass of water. Water.
Water.
Anyway, how
It's
about
funny.
yeah. How about like your life in Russia? How is it like? Is it like a country which we all see outside, like, or is it better? Is it a bad country,
Uh,
country according to you? According to
okay.
your opinion?
Firstly, firstly, coming. I never wanted to come to Russia. That's the thing. I wanted to go to the UK, the USA, or Canada. I don't know how I found myself here. I never, if I tell you, I never researched on Russia. I never even knew how it looked like, what it looked like. I didn't know. So, coming here, this place is beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't lie. It's
Hmm.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, if it comes to the transportation system, so much better. The network is so much better. Infrastructure is so much better. And like on that one, Russia is doing great. It's doing great. And I'm in Moscow, the capital city. Imagine the life. So
Hmm.
it's a good environment. It's a good environment. If it's yeah, it's a good environment.
So yeah, it is good. So how about like is it like the Russia we see, like, is there a racism or something like that? Have you ever faced that
Okay.
since you
Um, but the racism I've never experienced it, especially at my university. I'm at People's Friendship University of Russia.
okay,
There's diversification, cultures. You will find more Africans here. There
okay,
are a lot of Africans, there are Russians, there are people from all over the world. So you won't feel out of place.
okay,
I have never experienced racism as myself, but I hear in other places, like since Moscow is like the capital, and you know, there's inclusion of culture here.
mm,
But in the deep dioles of Russia, like the villages, like the far ends of Russia, I hear there is some kind of racism.
I see. And how about like since you moved there, have you ever faced like mental health in university? Like, do you ever get homesick? Like, do you ever miss
Okay,
home? And
firstly,
how do you
firstly,
know? Uh,
firstly,
uh-huh.
I never get homesick because I've always wanted to study abroad. So coming here, my mind was already set that I'm going abroad. Yes. So on that part, I think missing home is not that much because I talk to my parents on the phone. We have like I talk to my little brothers. We communicate. So for me, I was it was easy for me to adapt. And growing up, we moved a lot. I've never stayed in one part of Zambia, like in one part of Zambia for more than 5 years. We've always like moved. I've been to northern, western. The only province I haven't been to is northwestern province. So
My brother.
coming here, adapting, yeah, adapting was very easy for me. So that helped. That really helped.
Okay. I see. So how about like someone who is thinking of moving into Russia, or someone who has gotten a scholarship to Russia and they are thinking maybe there are no opportunities. Are there like opportunities that side, like a lot of opportunities that you can find, and how do they like get them? And do you are you like having any opportunities right now while you're that side, while studying at
Eh,
university? Mm.
mhm. There are a lot of opportunities here. I can't lie to you. Even
Wow.
more opportunities than there are back home in Zambia. Like if I were to compare, when it
Wow.
comes to financial financial growth, because the pay here is very good. And
Wow.
looking at the economic difference between Russia and Zambia, yes. there are a lot of opportunities. So if you're a student coming to Russia, the opportunity is like teaching English. If you're from a country that's, the official language is English, you can come here to teach English and you'll be getting paid a really good pay, especially if you get your TFL certificate. That's teaching English as a foreign language certificate. You can be working in a school and you'll be getting good money, good money. You can work on skills like video editing, copy editing, copywriting, creative writing, script writing, transcripting. You can work in a construction company. You can work in fast food places, restaurants. There are really a lot of opportunities here. So when it comes to opportunities, yeah, yes. Money making opportunities. Yes,
I'm sure by the time you're coming back, you'll be this rich woman.
ah, you know, and that's the problem I think about most people in universities is that they never think of the future. They just think
Yeah.
of the period they are right
You
there
just
in
think of the
university
present.
class. Yeah, they just think of the present. Whatever money that comes in, they spend it without thinking of the future. I mean, my goal is to, when I'm going back home, I shouldn't go back to my parents' house. I shouldn't drive my parents. I want to have something of I can call my own. When I go back home, I have to have my own house. I have to have my own everything. Because I want to go home and say, Mom, I didn't just go there to get a degree. I
Metaphor.
went there to get some sense, to get some sense, to get some cash.
Yeah.
So whilst in university, I would advise the viewers to not only focus on the now, focus your focus should make goals,
On the
future
future.
goals. How do you see yourself after university? When you're graduating, on the day you're graduating, where will you be financially? Where will you be spiritually? Where will you be physically? Will you be socially? As an individual, who will you be? How
Mm.
will you be recognized in society? So those are the aims you should, the goals you should be targeting towards.
Yeah. And like it's very true. We don't usually like set major goals. We need major goals. Most people ignore the part for major. They just think that once I study this course, like medicine, I'll be earning a lot of money. They don't think of the future may change, jobs may be
Mm,
lost. They just think, okay, once I study this course, I'll be rich. But we should prepare our mindset to for failure sometimes. We prepare our mindset for if I fail, for example, if I fail to do this, what's the next thing? We need to such kind of
mm.
mindsets for people. Yeah. And how about
Because I
go
was
ahead.
talking to a friend, like, she was saying that, you know, a friend of mine just graduated from university, but he has gone searching for new skills that he can do on top of being a doctor. I was like, to learn a skill in university, don't just do that degree, learn a skill.
Yeah, exactly. Skills help also, not just one skill where maybe if, for example, I'm doing law, I just earn that skill in law. No, I need to maybe do other things like go, sometimes even learn tech things like you can learn coding, for example, in place of law. Just in case something happens, you know how to code, you know how to do this and that. At least you transition like that. You
Mm,
just don't depend on one thing, but you are like you are like a multi-purpose person. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm. anyway, I would like to chat with you for long, but anyway, the time is stopping us. Otherwise, the conversation is very good.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, so the takeaways are you talked about your the life outside in Russia, how you managed your mental health. Can you talk about like how, just before you go, how you managed your mental health, how you manage your mental health during university? Like if you fail a test, for example, how did you move about it?
Mhm. Okay, I think one point I forgot to mention was um the transition period from high school to university when it comes to grades. It's real. Okay? So in high school, you would have been the best. You would have been an A plus student. But during the transition period from that place to university, maybe you find yourself in the D's, you find yourself in the C's, even find yourself in the E's and the F's. Don't be hard on yourself. Set goals and work towards them. It's a step-by-step process. You're transitioning. Continue working on yourself, continue studying hard, and eventually you become that A plus student again, as long as you're consistent with working towards that goal. So that's
Exactly.
one advice I would give, because I think that messed up my mental health so bad, because I was like, what's this? Like, what am I doing? And the other thing is, you'll be studying, for those coming to Russia, you will be studying in Russian.
In
In
a
Russian,
different
there are a
language.
few courses, yeah, in a different language. There are a few courses that you can change. Like, for example, medicine, you can change from Russian to English medium. But for my course, pharmacy, there's not that option isn't there. I wanted to change from Russian to English, but that option for me isn't there.
Oh,
So understand, yeah, in a different environment, studying in a different language. So give yourself some grace. Then the other thing I remember, transitioning from online lessons back in Zambia and coming to Russia, I used to have a lot of anxiety attacks, like in class, because firstly, I can't understand what you're saying. Secondly, you're talking too fast. Thirdly, you expect me to answer questions. So, like, I used to have a lot of anxiety because I knew I wasn't ready for that class. I wasn't prepared for that lesson because I knew I wouldn't understand anything. So, give yourself some grace. If you can, study before the class just to ensure that you're comfortable with what you'll be having next, like, in that lesson with your mental health, like, and pray. For
yeah.
me, I think my
Prayer is a
spiritual
very
life has
important part.
been,
Very, very.
yeah, my spiritual life has been my greatest anchor when it comes to my mental health, because I'll just run to God, God, please help me through this. Me, I'm tired, because you'll be tired, I'm telling you, you'll be frustrated. Teachers will frustrate you. And a lot of my friends have experienced where like the teacher favors the Russians more than the foreign students. So you have those experiences. You will have it. You will have those experiences, and you just have to be tough. Tough people. Tough people. You have to be tough. Tough times never last. Only tough people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tough times never last. Only tough people last. That's
Exactly.
very good. I think I can be saying that every day. Yeah. Uh, your reading also, like, but how do you encourage someone like to read? Let's say someone who's lazy to start reading, to be an avid reader, like how to be an avid reader, how to take up opportunities, how to, if they're feeling shy to make content, for example, like who are reserved at first. But look at us. How do you
Okay, so for reading, I'll just say it's opened up my mind to so many things. You know, being a researcher, being someone who's like curious, like reading material like finances. Be- Before I didn't Rich Dad Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, I had no information on such, you know? And then being exposed to that information, if you can imagine the level of information I have to make money, to make more money, and to multiply it. You can imagine the information I have. And if I work towards that information, I'm a billionaire. I'm a billionaire. So I think it, reading the right material will help
exactly?
you locate opportunities, see opportunities where people never see them. Because I have observed myself, like people say, no, this is, and I look at the situation and I'm like, because we can't see this. Then I'm like, guys. So it opens you to information, you're exposed to information on the ground. Then when it comes to being shy, I was a very shy person. I can tell my story in high school. I never, I was very shy that I've never joined clubs like press, debate. I never joined clubs like drama. I think I was only in Jets. Yeah, I was Jets. I was vice president for Jets at that time. So, and Jets, you just do projects, you know, you write Olympiads. And not in an like open space where you get maybe for projects when you're explaining your projects, yes. So uh I would advise those in high school to take up those positions, take up responsibilities, become a prefect. That will open you up to open your mind up to new information, to learn new skills in the places you will be, and that will boost up your confidence, your self-awareness as well.
Mm.
I would advise you to be work on yourself, become self-aware, and that would also help you with choosing a career, like choosing what you would want to study after you complete your high school. So when you become more aware of yourself, you know, you open yourself up to a lot of
A
things,
lot
like
of things, yeah.
you become exposed. You become exposed. You go into drama. You see your weaknesses, your strengths. You go into press club. You see your weaknesses and your strengths. Debate club, weaknesses and your strength. So when you analyze all those things as you're graduating, you know, okay, this that's not for me. This, yes, I see my passion. I see how joyful I become when I do this. So that would really help you on deciding what you need to study.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
How about like let's say university life. How excited were you when going to university, especially that you are going abroad where your parents won't even see what you're doing? And like, how did you keep away, or how do you keep away from bad vices or like doing bad things while at university, where there's a lot of temptation? Like, we just face a lot of temptation, but how do you manage to keep yourself in check?
So I was very excited to come here, no lie. Firstly, because I'm far away from my parents. And not just it's not that thing for I want to start, you know, doing bad things or being associated with that company. But I just wanted my own space. Like I wanted to feel free, like I'm a grown up. You know, I wanted to be away from like that control to just show them that they can trust me with me. Because sometimes your parents are strict on you because They don't know if they should trust you with yourself yet. So coming here, I was like, okay, this is my space. This is me. Let me do me. Because when you're with your parents, you're doing what your parents say. They're following their rules. If they tell you no, don't go, you don't go. But now you're in the decision-making seat. They're not there 247. You just call them maybe even once a week, once a month for others. So that really coming here has really helped me with decision making, budgeting, uh, thinking of the future for myself. I'm like, okay, my parents won't be there all the time. And, as we grow older, there are a lot of responsibilities you have to take up.
Yeah.
And you have to learn that. You have to be honest with yourself and learn that your parents won't be always there to support you. They won't always have the strength to support you. As you grow older, more expenses will be brought on you. And you think your parents will carry that as well? Remember, you have siblings, you have family members. Your parents can only do as much. And
Adulthood must come.
they can only do as much. And you have to, you have to be secure, be independent by yourself. What your parents want is when they see you, they know they did a good job. They know when they leave this earth, you are safe, you are secure, you are an adult, you can think on your own, you are wise, and you can move through this life. They can trust that you can move through this life with wisdom and independence. So that's what they seek from you as an individual.
Okay, so how about let's talk about your career, like spoken word poetry, about the reading. How about someone who is maybe like a poet who wants to reach out to you, or a writer who wants to reach out to you, or just a reader who wants to reach out to you? Okay, where can they find you? Like, talk about your.
Okay, so you can find me on all social media. The famous ones, if I can say, Instagram, YouTube, Audiomack, Facebook as Natasha CM Mwansa, Twitter Natasha CM Mwansa. You can slide into my DM, send me a message, and I will respond to you. So just reach out. Advice, if you need any advice from me, I am more than willing to tell you my experiences with poetry writing, with reading, with podcasts, because I also do podcasts as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, podcast.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Like which media do you use for podcast? Like, I mean,
Oh, okay. So I haven't yet started my own, like
oh, so you just
creating
feature.
my own. Yes, I just feature. So I featured in the top days. You can find top days on YouTube. The Tribe Club as well. I do some interviews. Then the ZAMSO, like ZAMSO is Zambian students in Moscow. I have also done a little bit of my own stuff under them. So the time will come when I will create something of my own. Right now, I just wanted to have the experience, learn from the people I was working with.
Anyway, Natasha, thank you very much. We are still talking since you do podcasts. Maybe we'll feature something.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, at some point I'll have you again on my channel. But thank you very much for having this very short talk. I'm sure it will be beneficial to someone who is maybe struggling with mental health, transitioning to university, who is applying and maybe they feel alone. You know, you're not alone.
You're not alone. You're never alone.
Yeah. So guys, Natasha is also a YouTuber. You can check out the channel, Natasha CM Mwansa, and subscribe. Yeah. All right, Natasha. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You can say your last
Thanks for
word.
having Thanks for having me. I would just say what will I say? Anyway, thanks for having me, Emmanuel. I just hope subscribe to my YouTube channel and his YouTube channel so that we get
Exactly.
those numbers going higher and higher.
Subscribe and like.
Subscribe! Share it with your mama, your papa. I'm getting numbers like your mama, your papa, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, everybody in the community, in
Yes.
the atmosphere.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.